Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to the NoDQ predictions video for the WWE Fastlane pay-per-view, the final stop before WrestleMania 37 at Raymond James Stadium in Tampa, Florida. This pay-per-view, of course, will be at the Thunderdome like the last several WWE pay-per-view events. And man, what a stacked card we have. 6 home matches. 2 of them might not even happen, but we're here anyways, and we have a loaded panel. Since this is WrestleMania season, we've decided to do one combined video instead of the guys doing a video and then the ladies doing a video with Virtue. We've combined everybody into one super video, and we'll probably do the same for the WrestleMania predictions, which could mean like a 2-hour predictions video. I have no idea how that's going to go. Hopefully not. We might have to rush through some of the matches, but I feel like even rushing through the matches on this, we might still go 30, 40 minutes, but I'll stop talking so we can actually get moving with this. I'm going to throw it over to everybody real quick on a scale of 1 to 10. How excited are you for the pay-per-view? So Virtue, I'll start with you. Your thoughts on Fastlane.
It's filler pay-per-view, but because we got Roman Reigns versus Daniel Bryan, I'll give it a good old 5. And that 5 is all because of that match. I'll keep it
all
simple.
Right. Big G, your thoughts.
Yes, it is Big G. I'd give it a 5, like Virtue
Of course
said.
you would.
Yeah. It's
I gave it a
not that
5.
really exciting, like review. I think the only match I am looking towards is Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan.
All right. And I'll throw it over to Caitlin. Caitlin, how's it going? How you doing? How's life treating you?
Good. And I will also go with a 5 because, not super exciting. This pay-per-view every year, it's kind of like, why do they do it? But I am excited for the Alexa Bliss and Orton segment to see what shenanigans they do with that. So
now, real
we
quick,
shall see.
Michael Wayne in the chat room wants to know what is up with the beard. What happened, Big G? Where is the trademark facial hair?
He said where is Big G's bread?
Where is the bread?
I don't know. But yes, the beard, yes. It is gone for now, but it will return.
All right. And finally, Aaron, how's it going? And how are you feeling about this pay-per-view?
Good. I'm tired, but this pay-per-view, I'm like a 2. I mean, wow. Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns is about the only thing I even care about on this. Caitlin sent me the card earlier, and I was like, I don't even know, because none of these matches are that interesting to me. So not super excited.
I'm agreeing with the 5. I think Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns will probably be a very strong match, and we could see a big shocker, but we'll talk about that. The rest of the card, it feels very much thrown together. It feels like what it probably will end up being, a filler pay-per-view with some good wrestling. I'm sure it'll be solid, but WrestleMania is the real show that everybody's waiting for. Fastlane is just a little bump in the road. How big of a bump will it be? That remains to be seen. Let's go ahead and get started with our predictions and chat room. Make sure you leave your comments with your predictions for each match. I will be putting up some of the predictions up on the screen. We'll go ahead and get started. Our first match, we'll start off with one that will definitely be taking place. The question is, will we see a new champion crowned? Apollo Crews will be challenging Big E for the Intercontinental Championship. Apollo Crews has this new attitude, this new character. He's got the Nigerian family that he grew up in, and he's playing that character now on television, complete with an accent. The question is, how long will this Apollo push last? Will it end abruptly at Fastlane, or could he potentially win the title and Big E gets a rematch at WrestleMania? I'm thinking Apollo's going to win the title. If he doesn't win the title, then why even keep pushing him? I think he's dead again. It's over for him. I think he needs to win the title if you're going to keep his character going strong. He's got the momentum on his side. Of course, in typical WWE fashion, he could lose, and then still get a rematch anyways, because that's how WWE operates. Guys lose matches, and then there are rematches for no reason whatsoever. But I'm going to say Apollo wins the title. Virtue, I'll throw it over to you. Your thoughts?
This match actually might not be too bad in terms of them working with each other. I want to agree with you and think Apollo's going to win the title, but I feel like they're going to drag this out. So remember, Big E, all he has to do is retain. Apollo could win the match some other way. It could be a count out, or he could get DQ'd and lose that way, right, which would kind of protect him. So I think Big E will retain the title. But I think at the end of the feud, maybe at WrestleMania, I could see Apollo winning the title for this new Nigerian African gimmick. But this might actually be a pretty good match.
Oh, yeah, I agree with you. I do think it'll be a solid match.
I like Big E, so I think he's going to retain, though.
All right. So, Caitlin, I'm going to put you on the spot now. Are you going to go with Big E retaining or Apollo winning the title?
Well, Virtue made me doubt myself, but I'm going to stick with my original thought of Apollo winning because something has to happen at this pay-per-view. It can't just be everybody holds till WrestleMania. So I'll go ahead and say that the title will change here, and then they might fight again.
Now, Dwayne Atkinson is saying maybe a double countout, which is a solid point. It almost makes me want to change my mind, but I'll stick with Apollo. I would not be shocked by a double countout, though, to keep the feud going. Aaron, what do you think?
I also think not Biggie. I think Apollo's gonna win. I just think it makes sense. They just gave him this whole new character. He's come out and he's looked really strong. I think they will fight at WrestleMania, and I think Big E will win the title back then because I do think it makes more sense to have the title on Big E, but you have to give like Apollo something, or why did you even do this big character change? So,
Right.
Yeah.
Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat says, imagine Apollo's gimmick in the 1980s or 1990s. It would fit for sure in the 1980s. It feels very cartoonish, especially with that accent, but then you got the spear and you got all the bodyguards out there with him. It's a bit over the top. I enjoyed it the first week he came out after the heel turn, and then afterwards when they added all the other stuff, I thought maybe it was a bit much. Big G, do you think Big E will retain the WWE Championship, Intercontinental Championship? That is.
It should be a good match. Both guys really worked well together the first couple times they had matches. But I'm going to stick with Big E retaining the Intercontinental title.
Man.
And I'm sure they'll have a rematch at WrestleMania, maybe some kind of gimmick match or something like that.
All right. And TJS says that Apollo should use the spear. I agree. He should stab Biggie in the eye with the spear.
Is it a spear or a shovel?
Good question.
It's just so weird.
I guess it is a spear, but maybe in Nigeria they make the spears a certain way. I don't know. I'm not the expert on spears, so we'll move on past that. We do have a $5 super chat from Johnny Boy. Thank you, Johnny Boy. He says, happy 316 day to the GOAT of wrestling and the GOATs of the IWC. Cheers. Happy 316 day. I got my water here. But yeah, Steve Austin, no doubt, had a phenomenal career, and I think 316 Day should be a national holiday. Why not? He's an icon. If anybody in wrestling should get a national holiday, it should be the Texas Rattlesnake. All right, so we're already through one match. We're doing good so far. Let's continue with this. We have the WWE Women's Tag Team titles. We have Bianca Belair teaming up with the SmackDown Women's Champion, Sasha Banks, going up against Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax. Now, this is a rematch from the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view. Of course, typical WWE, you have to do the rematches. We saw the champs retain last time. Will they retain again? Caitlin, I'm going to start with you on this one. Do you think we will have new champions?
So I went back and forth on this one for a while, but going with my theme from the last one of something has to happen, and I'm not sure which match it will happen on. So I'm going to say it does on this one too. So we'll say that Sasha and Bianca Belair win. But I think what can happen then is if they have the tag belts going into Mania, maybe there's another match prior to Mania for the tag belts, and then they can get more, how do I want to say it? Even more going on between them, Sasha and Bianca Belair, if that makes sense. Like something more happens to kind of make their feud bigger even still for their match that's coming. So that's what I will say.
And I'm going with new champions, and I agree with what TJS said in the chat. Like, why even book a rematch if you're not going to have new champions? Bianca and Sasha already failed once, so I just can't see them failing again. And keep in mind, on SmackDown last week, Bianca Belair took a pinfall loss. Granted, it was a cheap win, but she still took an L. And you're building her up as the number one contender. I don't see Bianca and Sasha losing again. I think this time they will capture the titles. But Big G, what are your thoughts on this one?
Well, I would like to see Nia and Shayna retain, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think we are going to have new champs leading into WrestleMania, and then possibly, like Caitlin mentioned, either before or after they'll have. I would say before, because you got to have the women's tag titles at WrestleMania. So I'm sure they'll win it back eventually before WrestleMania.
Yeah, WWE also teased the idea of Sasha and Bianca being like Shawn Michaels and John Cena from 2007 going into WrestleMania, each holding the tag team championship. Aaron, what do you think is going to happen?
I'm going to disagree with everybody so far.
Okay.
I'm going to pick Nia and Shayna. I get what everyone's saying about putting the belts on them, but I think them not winning will actually cause more friction between them and lead to a more interesting match. I think they'll start to blame each other more. You could already see it with the pinfalls they were taking with Reginald and that. So I think they're going to lose, and it's really going to start to set more of fire to their feud for WrestleMania.
All right, sounds good. Now, Sacred Monkey Bone, interesting username, sent in a $2 super chat, says Sasha Bianca defend the tag titles on night 1, and they have their match on night 2. Very interesting idea there. I could see that happening. Bam, even more of a reason to go with new champs. But Virtue, you got the final pick. You're going last. As they say in poker, you have the button, you have position. You've heard everybody's thoughts. What do you think?
I agree with Aaron. Why, Aaron, E-R-I-N? Why would anybody think that the two people wrestling against each other in a big women's title match at WrestleMania have the tag titles? Because it's WWE. No, it's not going to happen. We need to establish somebody as a bitch in this. And what's going to happen is Shayna and Nia are going to retain. And at some point, Sasha's going to turn, whether it happens at Fastlane or right after, she's going to turn into the heel bitch to go against Bianca Belair at WrestleMania. No brainer. No titles on them. It's going to be retain.
Well, so here's the thing, going off of that other comment, though. You could have Sasha and Bianca as the champions at WrestleMania. They lose the titles on night 1, and that kind of blows things up heading into the second night.
Blow it up that night. No, you WrestleMania is about evil versus good. I don't want to see good versus good, so it's not going to happen. I believe that it won't happen.
If you do it that first night, then too, you don't get quite as big of a happens this weekend.
Yeah.
Now, what happens?
Aaron, you and I are on the same page.
We are.
Yeah.
What happens if you flip it and the singles match is actually on night 1, and then on night 2 they have to defend the titles even though there was a title change? Like,
there's a lot of girls that need to get on Mania, so keep the titles on Shayna and Nia so you can put 2 other girls against them for the tag titles.
A good point too.
Well, you could still do a women's battle royal,
and especially because it's 2 nights. I see what you're saying. You want to, you like Sasha, you like Bianca Belair, and you want them to have all the gold.
Well,
but
quite frankly,
I don't think we said that.
Someone said 100%. I agree with Virtue. I don't know who that was, but I like that comment.
Michael Gonzalez.
I mean, I would be fine if Nia and Shayna retained. I would not have even done this match in the first place. I was like, okay, you did it at the pay-per-view last month. We move on, and that's that. But they got Reginald in there, and the whole thing's just a mess now.
Well, at least we're adding some interest to watching this because we have some differing of opinions.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm curious to see what everybody thinks about this next match we have. All right, Virtue. I know you're all stoked for this one. Aaron, I know you're especially excited. We got
Oh yeah,
Braun
Ooh.
Strowman one-on-one with Shane McMahon, and everybody's probably relieved in a way. They're like, well, at least this means we're not getting it at WrestleMania. And I'm thinking to myself, we're getting it twice. Once is just not enough. This is going to be the start of things to come with these guys. And I think whatever happens in this match, it's going to set up another match at WrestleMania. Because, I mean, you got nobody else for Strowman to face, really, unless that one guy from Raw Underground shows up to help Shane, and it's like a handicap match at WrestleMania. What's his name? Daba Kato or something? I forgot his name. Something like that.
Good job. You remembered.
So, Big G, since you just chimed in, we're going to let you go first on this one and give us your thoughts on what's going to happen.
So I was thinking about this, and you just mentioned it. They're definitely going to have another match at Mania. Somebody was saying a Falls Count Anywhere match or a street fight or last man standing. And that's right up Shane's wheelhouse. So I'm going to go Strowman wins by DQ.
All right, Strowman wins by DQ. Virtue, what do you think?
Okay, so, there's a lot of heat with Shane McMahon on the internet. People calling him backyard wrestler, stay away. Dude, the guy is giving his body for the business. He might not be what he used to be, but the fact is he must have agreed when he returned several years ago that he's going to do so many WrestleMania matches and moments. This is going to be one of them. I think Shane McMahon wins this match. We might even see some Nickelodeon slime. He's going to keep embarrassing Braun Strowman. Get this win here all the way to WrestleMania. That's how much they're going to drag it out. Really make people hate this. Just so Braun can get the victory on the big stage over a McMahon at the end of the day. So that's what I'm calling for this feud. But this match, I think Shane McMahon will win at Fastlane. It will happen. It'll be like the embarrassing stuff. It's going to continue like that's what something crazy, maybe blood or feces coming down from the ring. Yeah, something weird, dog food, something like that. Yeah.
I hate to agree with that because I don't think Shane should be beating Braun Strowman, but I think it's going to happen. It sounds like a total WWE thing to do to keep this feud going. Maybe there'll be a DQ and Strowman wins by DQ, but I sense like Shane's going to pin Strowman as, that ultimate act of humiliation, and then Strowman's really going to be set off. Shane's going to brag about it. You know how he did the whole best in the world? He's going to do that all over again. Brag about how he was the giant killer and he slayed the giant. And, maybe TGS said maybe Braun gets counted out, something like that. I could see that happening. But either way, I see Shane winning to get the heat so he can come out there and say that he beat the giant Strowman and just completely rub it in his face until WrestleMania. So now I'll throw it over to Aaron. What are your thoughts?
I definitely think Shane's going to win. It makes more sense for Strowman, who's the face, to get the win at WrestleMania than to get it right now at Fastlane, especially if you think this is going to be a prolonged feud, which I do think it is. Man, I was hoping so bad last night that would be it and we'd be done and over with, but realistically, I knew it wouldn't be. But I do think Shane's going to win, and I kind of agree with Virtue about the humiliation, just to really make Strowman mad. So then when he does get that big win, it's like even a bigger moment for him, and he needs the push. Shane doesn't.
All right, Aaron, thank you for that. Caitlin, you're the one to wrap this up.
Yeah, I agree with everyone with Shane winning, and I wrote down the same thing about Braun winning at Mania and kind of carrying it out till there. So yeah, all on the same page for this one.
All right, so there you have it, folks. Shane McMahon, he's the odds-on favorite to beat Braun Strowman. That's a little nuts, but
his last name's McMahon, so
I know it's hard to bet against the McMahon, especially Shane McMahon. All right, moving on here. We're making good time on this. Let's get to what probably won't even be a match. We got this is interesting.
Yeah.
Randy Orton versus Alexa Bliss, and I guess this is going to be an intergender match. Now, I suppose we'll do predictions for this, but I'm not even sure we're going to have a match here. I feel like this is going to be an angle. I'll start with you, Caitlin. What do you think is going to happen here? Do you think they're actually going to have a match, or do you think the Fiend's going to show up? I mean, that's the obvious thing. Like, is there anything else that could possibly happen here?
Well, I definitely don't think it's going to be like a straight match, start to finish. Maybe they'll begin it. But something's going to happen, lights will go out. Maybe she does the character changes and all of that stuff. Fiend might show up, but is it going to happen now, or are we keeping him away till Mania? I don't know. I'm not sure who to pick for this, though, if someone's actually winning. I kind of don't think there is going to be a winner. But
Right. If there is a match, you got to go with somebody. If they actually have a bell ring to signify a winner.
Pretend they're going to do smoke and mirrors. So somehow the bell will ring and it'll be weird voodoo-y stuff, but technically there'll be a match.
Yeah,
Think of that way, and you can probably pick a winner.
Right. Yeah, I'm just going to go out on a limb and stick with Alexa Bliss because she's been my favorite thing this year, and I'm going to go with her.
Yeah, I agree with that. What I think is going to happen, we're going to have Alexa and Randy Orton in the ring. There's going to be a stare-off, and then the lights are going to go out. They come back on. The Fiend replaces Randy Orton. The Fiend beats the crap out of Orton, lays him out. Lights go out. They come back on. Alexa's back in the ring. She lays down and pins Randy Orton. I think that's what's going to happen. Alexa will win this match. And by the way, kayfabe candy ass. Kayfabe candy ass is here.
Yeah.
Randy Orton will turn on Randy Orton with an RKO to Orton, allowing Alexa the pin. I would love to see. Now, you know what? If WWE could pull that off with the special effects in the Thunderdome, somehow do the split screen with Randy Orton and Randy Orton in the ring, and the fake Randy Orton RKO's the real Randy Orton, that would be awesome. I would love to see that. I would give the show. I will give the show an A+ if we see double Randy Orton at the pay-per-view.
Will you give somebody a T-shirt if that happens?
I should. You know what? I will. How about that?
Go, Caitlin, get that in there.
RKO's Randy Orton.
Maybe you'll win it, Aaron.
Yeah.
All right. So, Big G, what do you think about this one?
It'll be interesting what they do. I mean, they are in the Thunderdome, and they have been known to use special effects lately and do, like Virtue mentioned earlier, smoke and mirror stuff. I'm gonna go with Alexa Bliss here. I think the Fiend will show up, and maybe I don't think he'll physically show up. He'll probably show up on the screen, or you'll hear his like weird laugh or whatever, and that'll cause Randy Orton to get distracted, and Alexa Bliss will hit Sister Abigail to get the win.
All right. Now, Aaron, do you think there's any chance we see Soldier Boy show up and interfere in this match?
Oh, geez.
No, I do not think we're going to see it. Got one wrapped. That's enough.
That's enough.
And maybe Bad Bunny will show up, but I also think Alexa's gonna win. I think the Fiend comes back. I think we get like all of like Alexa's little tricks. Might see the different versions of her. We might see, Randy spitting up whatever that black stuff is. But at the end of the day, I think the lights are gonna go out, and maybe Randy's about to RKO Alexa or something like that, and then lights go out and comes back in, and then there's the Fiend. So I do think he comes back, and I do think Alexa or the Fiend get the win.
All right. And we do have a $5 super chat here from Matt Phillips Reviews. Thank you for that. He says, ready to feel old? There have now been more WrestleManias under the WWE banner than WWF. Yeah, that sounds about right. That would be, at least 17 by now, or maybe 18.
Yeah. 18.
Wow. Yeah.
18. 1 through 18. Yeah, and then 19 to
Look
37.
at Big G with the trivia knowledge.
Wow. Yeah. That's a good one, Big G. Well, it's just basic math.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Which is
But
even
I-
more surprising you got it.
Oh,
But
Just
off
kidding.
the top of my head, I don't know which year it switched from WWF to WWE. So
it was WrestleMania 18, I believe, was the last WrestleMania under the forbidden name WWF banner.
Colin Andrew
Gotcha.
says, good show so far. Loving this panel. Thank you for tuning in, Colin Andrew. We appreciate it. And Brandon said maybe Papa Shango will appear. Hey, I'd be up for
Boogeyman,
that.
Papa Shango.
Nice little
Man.
call back. Anyways, Virtue, what do you think about this one?
Okay, so we think of storytelling through WrestleMania. What happened several years ago in a horrible book match? Not the guy's fault, but Randy Orton beat Bray Wyatt for the WWE Championship.
Yeah.
I think this match, it'll be smoke and mirrors, but I think Randy Orton will be declared the winner. I don't know how, but he will be declared the winner because Alexa is going to be the sacrificial lamb that brings the Fiend back to revenge all of this, getting burned, Alexa getting maybe RKO'd and pinned. And so WrestleMania, the Fiend, Bray Wyatt will finally get his revenge on Randy Orton. So because I'm thinking that way long-term to April, Randy Orton gets another W here. Somehow, some weird way, he's going to win this match.
There you go.
All right. Well, that's an interesting take on it. And
I almost said no contest, but then I couldn't convince. I don't know if WWE's done that in a long time, so I'm going to take Randy as the winner.
all right. We do have a $2 super chat from Psycho Jet Black. Thank you for that. It says the Fiend comes out to a new Soldier Boy remix. That would be a nice way to troll Randy Orton, I think. But the question is, would
crank
anybody
that Soldier Boy, so crank the Fiend.
All right, we got a $2 super chat here from SSBS Fanboy. Says me versus Big G in a trivia match. Book it, Rift.
No, I don't do
What about-
trivia anymore.
SSBS
I brutally
Fanboy,
lost.
Have you been in a trivia match with Greg Cherry yet? I haven't been keeping track, but
Who,
if
me?
you
Yeah,
haven't-
like the beginning of his reign.
Oh, okay. Well, then got to go for the rematch then. Well, no, I'm not talking about you, Big G. I'm talking about SSBS Fanboy.
Oh,
I was gonna see if he wanted to try and take Greg on then in the wrestling trivia challenge. All right, so we got through that match. We've gone through the entire card now, except for two matches. We got Drew McIntyre versus Sheamus in a rematch from a couple of weeks ago.
Why did
Man,
they make that picture like that for Sheamus?
he looks so creepy.
That's
like
so creepy. He's like hunched
he's
over,
stalking
like
Drew.
looking for a shoulder.
That is a weird.
What
I do
is
like the hat,
that?
though. The hat reminds me of Back to the Future 3, the McFly family
Yeah.
from
Weird.
Ireland.
now, I think if WWE had booked this match a little bit differently, I would have cared more about it. But Drew McIntyre already beat Sheamus a couple of weeks ago. Bobby Lashley pinned Sheamus clean on Raw this past week. And what's on the line in this match? Nothing.
Nothing.
Drew McIntyre already beat him, so why are we seeing it again? I'm sure it'll be
So,
really good. Like, these guys have had great matches, but I just wish it was done a little bit differently. Aaron, how are you feeling about this match? And you got a prediction for us?
I do. I think it'll be a good match. You know, they're gonna beat the crap out of each other. It'll be a hard fought match, like a hard hitting match. Like I do think it'll be good. I not super excited, like you said, just because we've already seen it and but you knew they were building towards it. I do think Drew is gonna win. I still kind of think unless there's some magical person coming out to face Bobby Lashley here, I think we're going to get Drew versus Lashley at WrestleMania, you know, unless suddenly Lesnar shows up. But I think that's the route they're going. So I think Drew's going to win.
Well, a couple of people are thinking a triple threat match with Sheamus in it, but I don't know. Caitlin, what do you think?
I agree that Drew's going to win this match. don't see any reason to do anything else leading into Mania for same reasons as she said.
Well, I'm going to agree with you, Caitlin. I think Drew McIntyre will beat Sheamus. They could go the No Way Out 2001 route where Sheamus wins and then could be a contender down the line for the title, even though Triple H never went after Austin because Austin turned heel. But I don't think WWE is going to weaken Drew McIntyre before WrestleMania. So I think the safe pick is Drew McIntyre to win this match. Big G, do you agree or disagree?
I think this will be a hard-hitting match. It's weird, though, how they had a singles match and then a no disqualification match, and now they're going back to a singles match. And judging on how everything has gone down the past couple weeks, I'm going to go with Sheamus to get the win here.
Big G.
Interesting. Wow, Big G. Going
I get
bold.
it, you know.
All right, so he disagrees with the rest of us. Well, we still haven't gotten Virtue's pick, so Virtue, go ahead.
Someone in the chat said we're boring because we're not talking about Impact Wrestling. Nice troll. It's a WWE Fastlane pay-per-view preview and predictions panel. And Drew McIntyre and Bobby Lashley are now in WWE, no longer in TNA, which technically doesn't exist. With that said, I can't get any more boring than this. McIntyre. That's who wins this match.
That pretty much sums it up. All right. So on that note, we will get to our main event of the evening. I know Virtue is very stoked for this one. I am too. To me, this is the one match that feels like a big deal. We got Roman Reigns defending the Universal Championship against Daniel Bryan. Now, the one thing we do not know is who will be the guest enforcer. Will it be Jey Uso or will it be Edge? Now, I'm not going to say my pick yet, but I think it doesn't matter. Regardless of who the enforcer is, I have my pick. My pick would be the same either way, but we're going to go around the panel and get everyone's thoughts. I will close it out, so I'm going to go last on this one. We will start with Virtue on this one. Virtue, go ahead and give us your take.
Okay. Now, Aaron, I saw you just pan the camera back to us. Put it back on the image. Can you do that? This is going to be great. Everybody in the NoDQ Galaxy, look at this picture, right? Daniel Bryan, obviously, we know what he can do. WrestleMania, New Orleans, that moment, it was awesome. He's not that Daniel Bryan anymore. He chooses not to be. He chooses to be in these matches to build people up even stronger than they are. Look at the guy on the left. That is professional wrestling. You have New Japan. You have AEW. You have Impact Wrestling, Ring of Honor. There is one man that stands tall during a pandemic that stops the bleeding, and it's Roman Reigns, okay? It doesn't matter who wins this match. We know Roman's going to retain. He's facing Edge at WrestleMania. The bottom line is these two guys had a great match several years ago at Fastlane, correct? They're going to have an even better match this time because Roman is a different character. Roman Reigns, the number one. I don't care what PWI says. I don't care what Dave Meltzer says. Roman Reigns is the number one professional wrestler, sports entertainer in the world because there's so many people I see on Twitter that talk about Roman Reigns. Females that like wrestling. Obviously, we have Aaron and Caitlin here, and you might not have to like Roman Reigns, but I have female followers on Twitter because they like Roman Reigns and I like Roman Reigns, okay? He is a draw. Maybe not Austin and Rock, but he's the reason why to watch his pay-per-view, period. This is a boring filler pay-per-view, but it's all about Roman Reigns. And Daniel Bryan, it's going to be a hell of a match, but we know who's going to win. Roman.
Okay, we do have a $2 super chat from Psycho Jet Black. He says, Impact has Rich Swann, therefore WWE is better. Ooh, that was true. That was low, man. Dwayne Atkinson sent in a $3 super chat, says, is it possible to see a double turn with them at WrestleMania? I'm not sure if he's talking about Drew McIntyre and Bobby Lashley or if he's talking about Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan. I'm not sure. So, Dwayne, you may have to – oh, he said Drew and Bobby. So, yeah, I could see that possibly happening. I know a lot of fans are talking about how maybe there could be – backlash towards Drew McIntyre, like if there were fans right now, because he's been on top for so long. And you know how fans get, they start to resent the guy on top after a while. So it could happen, but because WrestleMania is going to be the first show with fans back, I don't think they're going to turn against Drew McIntyre. At least I don't think so. But yeah, it could happen down the line. I think if we had normal circumstances, I think that absolutely could be a real possibility. But you never know, because Drew McIntyre, some might argue he's getting stale, and you gotta shake things up with him. But we'll talk about that when we do our predictions for WrestleMania. Talk about the possible ways that could go. So, Big G, I'm going to throw it over to you. Who do you think the enforcer is going to be? Do you think that it will really matter who the enforcer is, and what's your pick?
I think it'll be Edge as the enforcer, and I'm sure Jey will be out there regardless, and I'm sure Jimmy Uso will make his return on Sunday. I think he's cleared to go, finally to come back. If he doesn't come back Sunday, maybe it'll be on Friday, but I see it more better on Sunday. Obviously, I'm going with Reigns to win here. You know, this will be one hell of a match. I think Daniel Bryan is winding down his career. I'm sure he'll have, a good match at WrestleMania with whoever he has a match with. But I'm going with Reigns to retain the title here.
All right. And we do have a $5 super chat from the Game Is On 100. Thank you for that. It says, our number one champion tribal chief will squash the so-called yes man thanks to Edge, counting the fall. All right, so with that being said, Caitlin, what are your thoughts on this match? Who do you think is going to be the enforcer, and do you see any chance of a championship changing hands?
No. I agree that it'll be a really good match. Obviously not changing hands. Roman will win. And the enforcer, I'm going to go with Edge, but I'm really not sure on that. That's it.
I'm thinking it's probably going to be Edge, but I'm not really sure. Now, did everybody else go?
Adam Pearce.
Go yet?
Wait, what was
I've
that?
got to go. I've got to go.
Do we got to pick an enforcer?
Well, you don't have to, but
okay.
Okay.
I mean, Virtue, who do you think the enforcer is going to be?
Adam Pearce. I don't care. Doesn't matter.
All right, Aaron, what do you think?
Obviously, I think Roman's going to win. Well, I know Roman's going to win. It's not think he's going to win. Interestingly, I see this being more of something that could be a triple threat match at WrestleMania than the other match with like Drew and stuff. Because really, if Bryan loses, and he's been pretty entangled in this, who is he realistically going to fight? Are they going to even have enough time to build a new feud for him before Mania starts? So if anything was going to be a triple, you could see Edge versus Daniel Bryan versus Roman Reigns being the triple threat. And then you have that kind of thing where if you really wanted to put it on Edge, you could pin Bryan.
Good point there. And I do think regardless of who the enforcer is, Roman Reigns will win the match. I think that's pretty clear. Now, what I could see happening is we have Edge winning the match. It's his first match back on SmackDown. He wins the match. I'm pretty confident it's going to be Edge as the enforcer, which will make people think, wow, well, Daniel Bryan, he's got a real shot of winning the title, which is good. You get people thinking maybe there's a chance. But, of course, you got to think, well, when it looks too good to be true, it probably is. And we still have Jimmy Uso coming back at some point. People have been talking about him. I could see him showing up on Sunday to take out Edge, and therefore like a second referee comes down, or Jimmy does something, Edge doesn't see it, and then counts out Daniel Bryan. Or something happens where like Edge, if you go back to like the 1997 SummerSlam when Shawn Michaels was the referee for Bret Hart versus The Undertaker, something like that where Edge accidentally hits Bryan, but he has to count the fall, and then Bryan somehow gets another opportunity and they do a triple threat. People have been talking about Edge possibly turning heel. Like, even though we don't have fans, like there's this feeling with some people that Edge is starting to be resented a little bit. And Bryan, of course, he's the underdog, and they could possibly do an Edge heel turn with Bryan being the third person in the match as the babyface. and maybe that could be the way that Reigns retains the title without Edge taking a fall. Bryan loses at WrestleMania. I mean, there's a lot of different ways they can go, but regardless, we'll talk about possible WrestleMania outcomes on the WrestleMania predictions video. But here, for this pay-per-view, regardless of what happens, Roman Reigns will still be the WWE champion or Universal Champion, whatever, same thing. So that's it for the Fastlane pay-per-view. Thank you everyone for tuning in and watching. If you like this video, make sure you give it a like. Click on the subscribe button, turn on notifications for updates. Let's go ahead and do the plugs. Aaron, let's start with you. Anything you would like to plug or promote?
You can find me on Twitter at, I can't even think of it right now. What, Caitlin, do you know what it is?
NoDQ.com/Aaron.
Thank you. Sorry guys, I'm tired. I have a long day.
All right,
she
so-
said.
Yeah. And mine would be /Caitlin. So the ladies, our plugs are good.
Okay then. All right, Big G, you've done quite a few plugs over the years, so go ahead and give us.
NoDQ.com/BigBallerG takes you to my Twitter page, and on there you'll find my link to my YouTube channel for the Gridiron Grapple every Tuesday. And that is it for me. Virtue.
Well, thank you, Big G, for passing it on to me. Follow me on Twitter if you dare at NoDQ_Virtue. That's right. The Troll Slayer logo is up. My Facebook page is NoDQ.com/Virtue. And also go over to NoDQ.com/merch and check out some NoDQ stuff, including Virtue stuff like this. And, of course, more importantly, the ladies of NoDQ shirt. Is that over there?
It is.
You didn't prepare and get us a logo to go up while we were talking.
That's a great point.
was-
Epic fail on Aaron's part.
That was very bad of me to not put that logo up for you guys, so my apologies. Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. Oh, here we go. Okay, Big G, you ready?
Have I ever played 21?
No, you gotta say it. Have you ever played 21?
Oh God, is that a question?
It is a question.
Oh no, I haven't. I have. So, what is that? Somebody said something again. A quote.
Yes. Guess the wrestler who said it.
Have you ever played 21?
You want to play 21? I got 22.
Kevin Nash, Scott Hall.
All right, Virtue. Do you know the reference?
No, I can't remember
I
that.
think I'm the only person in this group here.
It'll be, I remember after you tell me.
No, it's Jake the Snake Roberts from the Heroes of Wrestling pay-per-view, considered to be one of the worst wrestling pay-per-views of all time.
I don't remember
In
that.
fact, fun fact, during that match, he took his snake, put it between his legs, and, well, started making certain motions using the snake on a pay-per-view.
That was definitely coked out, Jake.
Well, it definitely wasn't him at his mental peak, let's just say that. But anyways, look that up if you haven't seen it. Heroes of Wrestling. And you guys can thank me later on that one. All right, so we're all done. NoDQ.com. I'll be doing live coverage of the pay-per-view. As always, make sure you tune in for that. Follow everybody on the social media accounts. And we will see you guys next time. Stay safe, stay positive, but not COVID positive. Have a great night, everyone.